Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Cook Podcast, episode number 14. Today we have mentor, coach, artist Amy Renee. Thank you guys for watching. Huge shout out to Juicebox headquarters for letting us use this studio. If you guys are interested in using this studio, go ahead and visit their Instagram page. Thank you so much, Amy, for joining us here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming by. I know you were struggling a little bit to get here.
Oh, yeah. Well, there are two buildings and they look alike, so I wasn't quite sure which one, but Priscilla came to the rescue.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I do a lot of things. And what I tell people is I really am here for people and to be helpful. My main role right now is I'm the vice president for public relations for Lexar Homes. So it's a custom home builder. And my brother is actually one of the owners. He's been in the construction industry for a lot of years. I also have been a makeup artist for over 20 years. So I specialize in beauty makeup, a lot of bridal, and then a lot of headshot makeup for content, you name it. So I also host beauty events over in the community. And what else do I do? Oh, I also own Amy Renee Consulting. So I actually do business consulting for marketing and outreach for businesses. And so for brands who are looking to find or refine or rebrand their messaging, that's what I can help them with.
That's
best
awesome.
ways to communicate with the public, establish brand identity, and how to get their word out there about their business. So a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and it's fun.
That's a lot of different things, but I'm sure you bring value in every single aspect.
I'm going to actually go back to one more thing that I do.
Of course.
Because I have a long list.
Yeah.
Is I have worked in higher education for almost 20 years. And so that means I have decades of college students who I have known and adored and cheered for lots of years. And so I'm in this really cool space now, even though I left higher education because I was a professor teaching leadership, communication, human development. And then I was the director of a federal grant program that helps students who are first generation, low income, and with disabilities graduate and transfer to universities. So that's just kind of like in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But just to say, my role in helping students and adults set their goals and create plans of action to reach those goals has been super impactful.
And when I brought up to Priscilla that I thought that you would be a good guest, she said the first thing that she described you as was like a people person, and you described yourself as that as well. What does that mean to you? Like, define what it means to be like a people person to you.
Well, a people person, I think it's just really about truly caring about people and really listening. I think it's really important for to make everyone feel seen and to feel heard, especially when people are coming to you, especially in business, because, you know, it's personal.
Of course.
I know you're in the business world, and when you have your own business, it's a very personal thing. And so to have your business and to go to someone and say, hey, I could really use your help, or I'm having these challenges, I don't take that lightly, you know? And so in general, to answer your question, you know, what is it to be a people person? It's just really being, to me, it's important to be approachable and actually really care about whatever someone is telling you about.
Yeah.
You know, it matters. In a world where everybody is just trying to be so loud, someone needs to be there to listen.
Yeah. And you kind of do demonstrate that with like the events that you host as well. And you don't need to be doing all that, but you do it because you care about, you know, putting people in that position where they can learn from you, because I'm sure that you looked for someone like that in your life too.
Yeah.
Do you have like a good example of like somebody that inspires you to be better or anything like that?
Well, lots of people. Through college, I really found a professor, Dr. Sarah Henches. She was only 30 at the time with a PhD and a published book. So she was incredible. And she was also one of the first people who introduced me to the sector of fitness, especially when I definitely was not in that area at all. She really showed me true, not only from the academic space, but someone who stepped out of their career role as a professor to go above and beyond for me when I was a college student. So there was a time I had surgery, and she went out of her way and she made me these homemade cookies and brought them to me, outside of her role as a professor, but more in the space of, hey, I care about you. I know you've been gone. And that's just always really stuck with me because she really went out of her way. So she was one person, I would say, really in the online space. Just remembering that for someone that might be looking for mentors or someone to really kind of role model themselves after, or if you're seeking advice, and maybe if someone doesn't have someone in their life that they know in that space, remember you can find people who are online because we have so much access to pretty much everybody.
That's true.
And, I think that role models can also be people that you never even know in person. So it's really great. In the online space, people who have really inspired me are especially Sayat Fitness and Susan Niebergall Fitness. They have the Sayat Fitness Inner Circle, and also Beth Farraco. So they're actually in the fitness, health, nutrition space, but they have really been there not only to teach me about nutrition and fitness and, all of that, but really they've been a great example of truly being yourself. Without the filters, without the overproduction of everything. They are exactly who they are. They cut through the bullshit. They simplify things and they communicate in ways that are easy to understand. And so for me to continue to see that be role modeled, paired with my experience working at the college and education, really looking at things like relatability, communication strategies, impact, they have been huge role models for me in my life in the more recent years.
Yeah, I really like that because, as you mentioned, like, they're real people.
Yeah.
They're people that you can look up to that have done things that you are looking up to, but also like they're actually real people. And I think a lot of the times we kind of get lost in that world of like, we look up to somebody and we don't see them as real people sometimes. Yet then you meet them and they're like actual, people that.
Well, they're approachable. And
exactly.
You know what's the best is if you meet them and they are exactly who they present themselves to be, more or less on camera. Because on camera, things are still edited.
Right.
But, just to be able to even see someone in person and be like, oh, yeah, you look like that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be the worst to only see someone on camera all the time and then you see them at the grocery store and they're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Is that them?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really impacted the way that I show up on camera for myself is I have a child, I have multiple businesses, I have a career, like multiple careers. If I'm at the grocery store, I want to look on camera how I look at the grocery store too. Sometimes there's a time and place for the glam and the production, but there's also a really huge space to continue to show who you are and present yourself as you are too.
Do you think that being a people person is something that you're kind of born with, or do you think that people can learn to interact with more people and be more open about, just being themselves?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think that it depends on the person in terms of people being born with it. I think, some people you meet and they're the star of the show.
Right.
They just are. You hear them like ever since they were little kids, they're the star. I naturally am not that way. Naturally, I'm extremely quiet. I maybe had, 2 friends max. Growing up, I was really quiet, but also hyper aware of my surroundings, my environment, and paying attention to all the details.
Yeah.
So a lot of thinking and not a lot of talking. So super shy naturally. So to answer your question, I think that if you're not necessarily born with that, with the gift of gab,
Yeah.
I don't think that it means that you can't be a people person. It's a skill that I've studied
Mhm.
and I've grown through the years so that I can be communicative when I'm when I'm seeing people, or
Right.
being welcoming or approachable, instead of just being like dead in the face, just quiet.
Mhm.
That's all really intentional for me. And that's been a skill that I've continued to build through the years. My master's degree is in leadership. And as a leader, you need to be a strong communicator.
Right.
Right. Or skills like when I taught at the college, I've had over a decade of practice to, check my body language, study like the cadence in which you speak, or the tone, or the way you talk to people, the way you talk to groups versus individuals. That's all studied for me.
Right.
It's not a natural thing.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, which camera can I look at? For anyone watching, this one. So for anyone watching, if you are shy, if you're naturally quiet, but you want to break out of that, you definitely can. It's just a matter of practice.
And you definitely have good practice.
Oh, thanks. Oh, also, my favorite person for all communication things and a lot of leadership things, Simon Sinek.
Okay.
My favorite.
Is that like a professor?
No, I think he's just really in the space of helping leaders develop not only themselves, but companies and things like that.
Mhm. You mentioned also about being like intentional with people, and that's like a big thing in leadership. How do you demonstrate being intentional with people?
I'm a big believer in role modeling.
Mhm.
I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. I think that being a good leader, not only is it role modeling, but remembering that leadership is separate from management. So there's a leader
Right.
where you'll do anything for them. They'll walk, I'll walk to the end of the earth for you. Where a manager is like, well, you've got to do this. So then people are like, well, I've got this job. I want to get paid. So I guess I'll do it. There's a difference.
Oh, there's a big difference.
The other ways that I'm intentional with people under this scope of leadership are really listening to what's happening in whatever circumstance they're facing. The more information that I can take in about what's happening and why, the better I can equip them with directives or guidance from there. So again, just it really goes back to listening and deep understanding, and also evaluating people as individuals, because I'm going to give maybe different directives to different people based on their personalities. Like, I wouldn't ask someone to do it if I know they're going to just absolutely hate it. Like, we want to identify people's strengths and build them up and let them shine.
Yeah.
And as a leader, it's your job to make people shine even brighter than they think they can. It's the best part.
That's what makes a good leader, of course. So social media, I see that you are able to create content, and just like you have a wide variety of careers and things that you've done. I see like a wide variety of content, which is great. You have fitness, you have beauty on there. That's really cool. Who or what inspires you to create content?
Actually, all you guys, everybody in this room here. I I think the people around you will impact you and inspire you. They've inspired me. I think that the environment that you put yourself in is a huge inspiration for anything that people do, so including myself. So it all started when I was a makeup artist. So as a makeup artist, who am I working with? Models, photographers, video, and then all the other vendors. So examples could be stylists, hand lettering, catering, florists. Like, there's all these vendors. And so then suddenly you're in this world of business ownership with all these other business owners. So that's where the conversations go. What do their days look like? Are they creating content? Yeah.
Of course.
If all these other people are creating content, that's normalized. Aside from all the people around me that are pretty much all my friends, I would say if I just want to get a message out there, then I just decide that I'm going to do it. And now that I'm not with the college anymore, that's been a really big change for me, because I love educating. And my students are so, so important to me. And so now I am not in the classroom anymore. So I'm able to shift the space of social media so that I can essentially continue to teach if I want to. Just depends what it is. And that's where I really enjoy doing lives. Because then there can be a lot of interaction, question and answer, kind of off the cuff. And that's what I really enjoy.
Do you go live like on Instagram?
Usually on Instagram.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah. How has your purpose changed or evolved with time, with all the things that you do?
Funny enough, that's a great question. Funny enough, my purpose remains the same. My purpose remains the same, which is to help people when they want, for everyone who wants a better life, which dare I say is pretty much everyone.
Everybody. Yeah.
I don't care if you're a student, you're a business owner, you're none of those. Maybe you're in a funny space in life where you're kind of figuring things out. I don't care who you are. People are wanting a better life for themselves, for their families. So again, in any space this is applicable. If people want to get there, I'm there to help them identify goals and to help them create plans of action to get there. And sometimes people don't want or need that. Sometimes they just want someone to listen. And I'm here for that too. Yeah. So the mission is the same, just a different avenue. And that's what's so much fun about it.
I think the more that you are able to help people, you also grow with them as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, I help you, you help me. And sometimes people don't view it that way, but that's really what it is, you know?
Well, that's the best way to learn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is from everyone. I mean, we're constantly learning every single day. Yeah.
What impact do you hope to bring to this community and to, like, for example, your followers on Instagram? Because I'm sure you have people following you from other communities that are not from Tri-Cities as well.
I hope that I can show the other side beyond the production, because I think the production's so much fun. After all, I'm in the beauty space. And to remind people that life is life and that not everything's curated. And I want to also be like a big sister to people, or the friend that they can count on. And I want people to walk at least 5 minutes a day. Like every day I'll post, well, pretty much every day, like I'll post my feet walking, you know? And so something that I'm so passionate about is health and wellness. And that doesn't mean someone needs to be a gym rat or do all these extreme things. What I am passionate about is people taking time to care for themselves. And a simple way to do that is to walk. And most people, thankfully, are able to do that. But to really take time for themselves, to prioritize themselves, especially their health.
Health is a big thing.
If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And for a long time, because again, I've been a makeup artist for so long, that was really the focus. And I continue to be passionate about that and educating about that. But you know, if your health isn't right, that's really where some time can be spent, because then you feel better, you know?
Yeah.
So my biggest takeaway, walking at least 5 minutes a day. And again, just really having a friend that's there to listen.
Definitely. That's the vibe that you go off straight away too.
It's
good. Yeah.
I'm glad. That makes me happy.
I feel like you could be anybody's friend. You're so nice.
Well, and a friend that's there to cheer them on.
Oh,
Especially the amount of people that will say, I have this idea and it's a crazy Amy, it's a crazy idea. Like, you're going to think I'm crazy. I already know when someone says that, I'm going to love it. Their idea is great. And so it's an honor when people share their ideas and goals and dreams.
Yeah, I share that with you too. I feel like when somebody tells me like a idea that's kind of risky, kind of crazy, I guess you could say.
But it's never really crazy, is it, when they say that?
Yeah, because you could see that potential in them, right? And
easily.
that's the reason that you tell, your friends, your family, your crazy ideas, because you would want them to be able to support you or be able to give you feedback. You know what I mean? And that's exactly why people tell us, people like you, people like that, they look up to, hey, I have this idea, and what do you think about it? You know?
And I think in those early stages, people they know who will most likely say it's a good idea. Because, it's like you're kind of nervous about it. You're getting it off the ground. And so then if they can come to someone like you and be like, hey, I have this big idea. And then you're one of the first people to say yes. Then, that's a launching pad, isn't it? And isn't it the best?
Yeah. Be that launch pad.
It's the best. And, I think going into that, not everyone is going to be there to say, yes, that's a great idea. There's going to be lots of people with a lot of doubt and questions, but to be a launching pad for it, or sometimes people just need that little extra push to keep going. That's the best.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think is like the biggest age that follows you?
I have like 5 Instagram accounts that just kind of happened over time.
Yeah.
The 2 that I'm most active on, so I have Amy with Lemon. That is my oldest account. And gosh, I haven't looked at my insights in a long time, but I would say whatever the bracket is, 25 to whatever the bracket is. I'm all looking at you guys. I don't know, 25 to whatever. It's a little bit younger than me. So is it to 35? So I think it's 25 to 35. Whatever it is, it's a little bit younger than me. I'm going to be 42. Now I have a separate account that I'm very active on. That one's not curated at all. I am just on there. I throw up memes, mom life, like,
Nice.
music, like it's just purely me, and whatever I think is funny or whatever. And that account, the age actually is older because I started that account really for myself, just kind of, I have like 35 friends on there, is just to document my fitness journey.
Yeah.
And I actually had the privilege of being on a podcast. And from that podcast, I gained a few thousand followers from that internationally. And so that audience is very different from my Amy with Lemon audience. So that audience is actually a little bit older. So whatever the next age bracket is, range.
Which is still young.
Sure. So yeah, it's just different spaces.
Have you ever like struggled with balancing helping others and like, let's say, helping yourself or like maintaining yourself? Like, has that ever been a struggle for you?
Yes, but more so in the space of I've always had another business, and I enjoy that so much. So it's not that, I guess it's all been a choice, right? But I do think that there's a space where a time where I really had to step back and say, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about health and wellness too. There's a time and space where you have to just step back and say, you know what? This is my 30 minutes. And so it is me wanting to help others, but then there's also a lot of demands, that come with business.
Of course.
And so that is the space where you just really have to step back and be like, okay, this is my family time. This is my time to dedicate to my health.
Right.
And then also really being proactive about blocking out just time for newness and fun or vacations or just days where you don't have meetings. I enjoy meetings, so that's challenging for me. It still continues to be challenging. So to answer your question, yeah.
It is a little bit of a struggle, but not for you, mostly because you like it all.
I'll say it is a challenge.
Yeah, for sure a challenge. Yeah.
It's a challenge, but it's a challenge because I want to do it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that it's not. It's definitely continues to be something I have to work on myself. Yeah.
And sometimes it is a challenge, but that's what you kind of signed up for, like you said.
That's the thing. Yeah. I was just telling my friend Tina today, I was like, and I wanted all of this, and so we were just kind of laughing, like, why do we do this? We could just simply be here and only have that one thing and then just be chilling.
Yeah.
But that's not enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
Always learning and growing and trying new things. It's fun.
Yeah. And I see that for sure. That's what you guys, that's what you show on your Instagram too, that you're always trying new things and you're always advocating for a healthy lifestyle and to be truly the best version of you is what I would get from your social media for sure. And that's very inspirational for this community, Some people are really trying to figure themselves out and they just go to work and to their home and they don't really spend time on themselves or looking out for their health, looking out. Sometimes you just got to put a fit on and get that confidence up.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Well, and there's lots of times in life. It's interesting being at the space in life that I'm in because I've been through school, I've been new in my career, and then I've been seasoned in my career, and then I try new business and then a different business. I think the other thing, getting back to your question about what would I want people to walk away with from my content, is to encourage people to try new things and to expect to probably suck at them at first and to know that's normal.
Yeah.
And to really see the evolution of, okay, I'm going to get brave and try something new and then probably suck at first, but then take action to try it and get better and better and better and better. That would be another huge takeaway I'd want for people.
Yeah. And I'm glad that we started with you saying that you are a little bit more to yourself naturally.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that's a lot of people but that doesn't mean that you can't, be a people person. You can't learn to communicate. That doesn't mean that, I think most smart people are kind of more to themselves in general, right?
Like people think a lot.
Exactly.
Do you think a lot?
I think a lot.
I just thought that you thought a lot. I could tell. Right? Yeah. Well, you have to. When you have all these ideas, it has to come from somewhere.
Johnny, why are you laughing at me?
Johnny thinks a lot too. See?
Johnny?
I know. I woke up the other day. I woke up not last night, the night before at like 3:30 in the morning because I was just thinking. So that I would tell my students, when you do that, then you need not get on your phone. You have to I don't care if it's a napkin by your bed. I don't care. With a pen and write down all the things. So you just take what's in here and you put them on the notepad, not on your phone in notes. Like you have to write it. And then you just put it. And that can help you sometimes. Otherwise, I just lay there for hours just thinking.
I think that would help me too to like organize my thoughts.
Even just getting out of the brain and externally somewhere. I
think that would be a good thing to implement for me.
And for all of our fellow thinkers, I'm looking at the camera. I'm like, the thinking edition is really finding someone that you're really in tune with who maybe has a similar thought process, or it doesn't mean you need to agree with each other, but maybe they're also in that thinking pattern. But I think there's a point where you have to stop the thinking pattern, and then you have to jump into the think, do, think, like, let's do it,
Yeah.
let's execute it. And a good way to start that is writing it down or talking with someone that you know will hype you up, or that you can kind of tease your ideas out with, and then from there write it down so that you can then take action. Otherwise it just stays ruminating
In here.
in the brain.
Yeah. It gets to a certain point where like you do have to execute that, you know?
Yeah.
You do have to. I can think about fitness or going to the gym all day, but if I don't go, what is the point of thinking about it, you know? So I think it's that, just executing the thought of like, and then you can move on to the next thing, right? Because I know for sure for you it's a very important thing to do the gym and go on walks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you stay consistent with that?
That's a great question. You decide. You decide that you are, and then you do it. I mean, it sounds almost too simple. So, ways to do it. So I would say when you decide you're going to do it, you can't be bullshitting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really get honest with yourself. Is this what I want?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really? And if it really is, so I look at a scaling question on a scale of 1 to 10, and I would tell my students this, how bad do you want it? And if you're really honest with yourself, if you're really low on the scale, that's okay too. Like, be honest with yourself. Like, it's not a place to judge it. But if you're really low on the scale, say you're a 0 or even a 1, but still a 1 is something, then think about why. But if you're like, oh man, I'm ready. Have you ever hit a space where you're like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I got to do something. You really decide and you commit. And again, you have to be so honest with yourself and decide, like, what's my plan? So is my plan every day? Will I get burned out if I go every day? So really looking at what's sustainable and what are small victories that aren't going to burn you out. So an example, again, if I say 5 minutes of walking, 10 minutes of walking, or we can look at a step goal. An example is I used to sit at a desk all day. So I'd get maybe 3,000, 3,500 steps. I'd get up in the morning, walk to my car, walk into the building, and sit all day. Or if I did stand, or if I was on my feet, I was teaching, but that wouldn't be many steps. And then you're just sitting for hours, and then you go back to your car, and then you go home and sit down because you're tired because you've been sitting all day. It just wasn't good. So if my step goal my steps started at about 3,000, then a big accomplishment would be for me to then decide on 6,000. So something measurable.
Right.
So 6,000, that's really not too much, but it's more than before.
There you go.
So what's something that you can definitely win at every day?
Like you mentioned, sustainable.
Yeah,
that's like a realistic goal that you can have for yourself, so you don't burn yourself out too.
Because that's the worst.
Yeah, that's really actually the question that I wanted to ask. Like, how do you maintain discipline? But
okay.
I don't think that you would even call it that. It's kind of more of your lifestyle, right?
I mean, it's definitely lifestyle. I would say it's planned. If you can plan it in your schedule and you look at it like a meeting, then I'm a big schedule person. That's the way I can maximize my day. It doesn't always go perfectly, but generally speaking, like, if I commit to you that we're meeting, we're going to meet.
Yeah.
Very reliable. So if you think of that time as a commitment to yourself or a meeting that you would show up for someone, then you make sure you show up. So I just think about the characteristics that I have, or maybe that you have, and commit to that. So I'm a responsible person that's very reliable. So if I apply that to something I've decided for myself, well, I'm responsible, I'm reliable, therefore I will show up for myself.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you can't be emotional about it. Like, oh, I don't feel like going. I don't feel like walking for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, well, okay, you can feel your feelings, but that's different from deciding you're going to go.
Yeah. So feelings don't matter in discipline most of the time,
Yeah.
right?
Discipline doesn't sound fun, though. Sounds like a punishment. But you're right. I mean, it is. I just think of it like a commitment to yourself
Hmm.
or a promise you've made to yourself, or you've just decided you're going to do it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is discipline.
Yeah.
I just try to think of it as like something more fun,
Yeah.
even though it doesn't always feel fun.
No, yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it too. Is like sometimes people we don't look at discipline as a fun thing, but
No,
I guess you could though.
you could. I mean, well, because, truly, like discipline can equal freedom, all of things. And I agree with that. But if I really tell myself, ooh, discipline, then I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But if someone's like, well, you're someone that follows through. Yeah, I associate myself with someone that follows through. And so the other thing about that is if you can show that, that's someone that's quite trustworthy. And if I can see that quality in someone, then I know that in turn they're probably trustworthy.
Right.
So
Yeah.
follow through for yourself.
So yeah, it starts with oneself.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's good advice.
I had seen you online doing the pod, which is awesome.
Thank you.
And I think I had originally found you from seeing all of the meats.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call
Cutting
it.
meat, butcher.
Yes. And I think we have a lot of mutual friends. And so I had seen you through that. And so that was really great. And I liked that you were showing things that, I think that typically we might not see online, which I thought was really cool. And I had the privilege of meeting your parents.
Yes.
Because we got to have their delicious food with Lexar Homes, and they're
Yes.
just the best and the nicest, and I love them. And they were just raving about you, by the way.
I didn't know that.
I don't know if I told you that, but yeah, they were raving about you. And it was cool because I knew of you. And so I love seeing what you've been doing with your pod and with media and everything. And I know that we were talking earlier about, trying new things.
Yeah.
And also kind of being in our heads a lot.
Yes.
So tell me about what was the push that got you to be like, okay, I'm going to do this pod.
The push, I don't know. I kind of brought it up to Johnny and I was like, hey, what if like I start a podcast? Because I'm like very curious about people. And of course, like I would love to be somebody that inspires people to be better in our community, because Tri-Cities is like, I I view it as like an upcoming, big, huge thing.
Mm.
I don't know, like maybe not population wise, but I think that this area has a big potential for a lot of things, like different kinds of businesses, different kinds of influencers. And so I kind of wanted to build a platform or create a platform to be able to get in the minds of those people,
Yeah.
to ask them questions, to see like what kind of struggles they had to go through, to learn from them, basically is why I started this. But I don't know, the final push was just about doing it, taking that action, recruiting the people. Thanks to Johnny and Priscilla for being a part of this team, and we're working on it.
So what did that look like? Were you just like, hey, Johnny, I'm thinking about doing this pod? And then what did Johnny say?
He every time that I've came to Johnny with an idea, he's always been like a supportive
He's
friend.
like, yeah.
He's always like, yeah, you should do it, And like we mentioned before, you always want to surround yourselves with that type of people, because he's always been positive, but he's not ever going to sugarcoat anything. It's like, hey, you're going to need to get better at this. And that's why I like working with him too, because he knows what I need to work on. He sees me day to day, Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What Now I'm like, ooh, there's so many. So tell me more about your day to day, what you do, because I've seen what some of the things you've shown online, but can you tell us more about what your day to day looks like, or what kinds of things are you involved in?
Other than the business or
So we know about the podcast, and
yeah.
I know a little bit about the business, but for the audience, can you tell us more about that, and then anything else you're involved in?
Fortunately for me, my family started a business in Yakima, and it's
Oh,
a butcher shop, and it just kind of went from there. That was in like the early 2000s,
okay.
and then we eventually moved over here because they started one in Pasco, and
Oh,
so that's where I got to. In 2015 is when I started cutting meat. I was like 15 years old.
okay.
Yeah,
And how old are you now?
I'm 24.
It's like a decade of
Yeah,
cutting.
yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah. So luckily for me, my dad kind of forced me to get into working
Incredible skill.
because
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for him because I didn't want to work just because I was more shy, not because I was like lazy, but because I was like overthinking of like, oh, what are they gonna think? Like I've never done this. Like I would rather go work somewhere else or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I know these people, like I've known them for years, the people that work for my family. um what are they gonna think of me, that
Mhm.
kind of fear of like being new, the new person, even though they've seen me for years. And yeah, he kind of just was like, no, like this is part of life, like you gotta learn how to work, you gotta learn how to communicate. And thankfully enough, I ended up um finding passion in that, and that's
Mhm.
where we kind of just grew from there.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, aside from like the podcast and cutting meat, I mean, I do enjoy going to the gym. Sometimes it does feel like I lack a little bit of discipline. That's why I was asking about that. But the way that you put it is like you gotta set that goal for yourself so you can come through for yourself,
Yeah.
so you can come through for other people.
And
Right.
that, yeah, and that builds confidence.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And having a community that kind of supports that too
Yeah.
is a big thing.
Yes.
And that's why, I mean, Johnny, he likes going to the gym.
Yeah.
Priscilla has
I
had a
know.
great,
Killing it.
great, what do you call it? Transformation
You
journey.
totally have.
Has had
Yeah.
like a great journey in the fitness as well. And she's kind of supports me on that. I told her to keep me in check.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, and it's really cool because then it's becomes what you do.
Hmm.
And so no longer is it, am I gonna go? And it's never really a matter of, am I gonna go? Maybe I'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go, but I know I'm gonna go. Because last time I went, and the time before, and the time
Yeah.
before, you prove that to yourself.
Exactly.
And so then there comes a point where it's not really a question. It's just, okay, I'm gonna go.
Exactly. It's like waking up in the morning,
Yeah, you
like
just,
getting out of bed. Yeah.
it's what you do.
Yeah.
And
Second
then
nature.
the more you show it or the more you talk about it, people, it's kind of its own boundary. People know and they expect that of you.
Hmm.
And then it's funny because then people will be like, hey, you go to the gym today? So it's just
Yeah.
normalized when
Exactly.
before maybe it wasn't.
Yes.
Or there are those people that are like, come on, just don't go. You're
Mhm.
tired.
Mhm.
It's like, no, that's not supportive.
There you go.
I don't need their support, but also, just
Yeah.
really looking at who you're surrounding yourself with.
Of course.
It matters.
It really does.
Yeah. So how did you meet everybody here?
Where do I start?
We can start here.
Johnny, how did we meet? Okay, so we had mutual friends.
Oh, okay.
And we were like, he's quiet. And I'm would you he doesn't consider me quiet, but I consider not anymore, but I was before pretty quiet.
It's like the quiet in the quiet. We know each other and then you can. Sorry, Johnny.
And so yeah, we were just, I guess the way that we ended up like connecting was when I did start my own location, because we had worked together before at the
Okay.
Pasco location. But I think when we like really connected as like friends is when I started my business alongside my dad, my family, of course. But I started running that location, and I was like, I think we really need to get into content creation for the business because we
Yeah.
have all these new meats that people have never heard about, and I want them to know about them, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of information that needs to be known about meat. And that's just, I don't know, that's just something that I was passionate about, and that's why we ended up kind of growing together in that too.
Well, it's really shown. I mean, you've blown up, you've done awesome.
Thank you.
And that's, and you've made a lot of videos, a lot of
Yeah.
content, a lot of quality content.
Mhm.
I know even in my office at Luxar, they're like, oh, look what I got. Like they went to your shop and got, I don't know what it's called, the big,
The
huge.
tomahawk?
Yes, they got
Yeah.
the tomahawk.
Yeah.
And so then on one of the guys' birthday, Jason's
remember that. Yeah.
birthday, then we have a picture of him holding this
Yeah.
tomahawk from your shop,
Yeah.
you know?
That's basically why we opened
So
that
cool.
the Kennewick location, was because people were, it wasn't readily available to get that kind of quality, to get those kind of different exotic cuts. That's where we wanted to come in and
Yeah.
kind of be that shop where people go get tomahawks, people go get steaks, wagyu, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, and you're great because then you're known for that.
Mhm.
And then it's so fun because you see it online and then it's so experiential to be able to go
Mhm.
get that
Yeah.
and then to be a part of it, you know?
Yeah.
The amount of joy that people have from that. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The meat industry is kind of crazy for sure. Like in terms of like a lot of people eat meat, like,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of room to grow, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We saw that space where nobody was taking care of like quality meats. Like nobody was like in that like niche.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was in like the wagyu niche. And so like that's where we kind of, I guess that's why we might have blown up. That's probably why we blew up, because we were in that wagyu niche. We were in the exotic meats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, posting consistently will also get you there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did you feel about being in front of camera at first?
It was more about like I need to, like,
Right.
and also like I really liked what I was doing, and I really liked talking about meat. And sometimes like Johnny will turn on the camera, or I'll turn on the camera, and the words won't come out, but like I feel it in here,
Yeah.
Like if a customer walks in and they ask me about a meat, like it'll just naturally come out.
Easy.
But sometimes in front of the camera, it's different,
Mm-hmm.
but it was difficult at first because
Yeah.
I don't consider myself to be like the best communicator sometimes. So it is difficult. But me being not like considered the most social person, or not being the best communicator,
Mm-hmm.
like we were able to do
I
something
mean,
out of
look,
that,
look what you're doing.
That's crazy. That's exactly why we started this,
Yes.
you know?
I love that.
And honestly, I would have never imagined me to be able to sit down with people like you and have a conversation,
Yeah.
Like, and so that, I think that's a blessing in itself.
It's a really great way to connect
Mhm.
with people. And it's different than being like, hey, you want to go to lunch, which is fun. But this way, it's like everyone's working together on a project.
Right.
And so we're all coming together in some way for a certain purpose. And so it's just natural,
Yeah. Mhm.
I love that you're doing it, even though you don't necessarily consider yourself to be super.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
what the words
it's
are.
definitely something that I feel like with each episode we're growing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm growing. Like I'm getting better at asking questions and listening and just being more prepared in general. But I mean, look
I know.
at where we're
That's
at
great.
right now.
I think if people are looking for what they want to do in their career, that it's important to remember that they're in the age we're in now, like there are endless options. You can be and do pretty much dare I say, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You can start your own pod, you can have a personal brand, you can have a business, you can have an online business, you can learn on the school of YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just a different time than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 2 years ago. Things are so different now. And I know I go back to it, but because I worked in higher education so long, when I started in higher ed, I'm like in the early 2000s, college was really one of the biggest ways to, I'll just say college was one of the main places that people were encouraged to go.
Right.
And I think that can certainly continue and there's a space for it. But I also think that now more than ever, there's access to so much.
Yes.
And there are so many other places to learn and grow and find mentors and develop yourself. Like the world is your oyster. And it's not like things used to be where you have to commit to choose a major and stick with it forever. It's really not that way anymore. And I think that especially people who are first generation, I call it first generation professionals. I think that depending on who your parents are, the messaging may be different. Maybe your parents have messaged to you, hey, you've got to pick something and stick with it forever. And that sounds like a big, scary commitment when that isn't necessarily up to date with the times now.
Yeah.
And so I would just really encourage anyone who is in a space of trying to figure it out to just remember to look at what you're good at, look at where your strengths are, and look at how those strengths and skills can be applied in employment areas, whether it's getting hired with a company or maybe you're doing your own business, whatever it is, really evaluate your strengths. And if you feel like you don't have a lot of skills, you can learn most anything. And again, college is one way to do that, but it doesn't have to be. There are a lot of ways that you can build your skills. So just have fun, and it's okay to try different things. And I always tell people it's kind of like, when you go to a buffet and you can look at all the things and kind of guess what you will probably like, or maybe you'll like it. And have you ever been and then to the buffet and then you're like, oh, this is going to be so good. And then it's actually,
Not that good.
not that good. It's not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Or someone else is with you. They're like, you got to try this one. And, so just really looking at it like in terms of careers, I think I might like this. So I'm going to try it. And just like a buffet though, if I like it, I can get some more. And if I don't, no biggie. On to the next.
That's a good way to look at it. And I feel like that's a super positive way to look at it too.
Because I think that a lot of people, including, that's how I was really afraid to commit. What if I make the wrong decision and then I'm going to be stuck with it? But just to remember, you don't have to be stuck with anything. You just move on.
Right. Yeah. I didn't look at it like that. That's true. It's like a buffet.
It's like a buffet.
Which industry do you have the most fun in, or which one interests you the most? Because I know you're in several different, but which one do you just enjoy your time in the most?
Oh man, that is such a hard question. Right now, I'm like, right now in 2025, who knows, I am really enjoying the brand identity space, really helping businesses, whether it's groups of people or individuals, really tease out what their core pillars are and really look at the way that people want to show their business and the way they're communicating about their business. I enjoy that because, again, business is, depending on the business, or at least the ones I work with, it's very personal.
Right.
And so I
agree with
enjoy that
Yeah.
very much. There's always something to learn and there's always a lot of ideas and things you can do. And so, yeah, that's really the space that I'm most enjoying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess I kind of want to ask, what do you see that we could do better in as like a Juanitos with the Juanitos page? Because you're talking about social media, right? Like branding and
Well, it can be social media, but I think just kind of like even identifying core pillars of someone's business. Why do you do what you do? What do you believe in? Especially getting back to the why. And so once we can identify, we do this because XYZ, we believe in, say, quality, consistency, access, whatever it is.
right.
You know, we believe in giving people time and care that they deserve. We believe in providing the most quality meats, you know, whatever it is. Like, what are your core beliefs for your business? And what and how are you going to communicate that to the public? Now, one way could be through social. Oops, I bonked the mic. One way could be through social, but we're also looking at any messaging that you're carrying forward. So whether it's conversations with people, face to face, maybe it could be like mailers, it could be, you know, just your website, it could be anything. But really going through and looking at like, what do you stand for and why, and what does your messaging look like, and how can that be consistently shown throughout everything you communicate with your business about your business.
Yeah, I think that's good to always have those core pillars, like you said, for employees and for the customers.
So that everyone knows.
So everybody's informed about why. You know? Yeah, that's a good thing.
Why do we do this? Who are we? What do we stand for? And then really going from there.
Yeah.
So to answer your question about, I guess I would just need to learn more about your business and all the back end stuff. But your videos, you're killing it.
Thanks.
And you're offering unique products and showing it in a really high quality, pro content, entertaining, fun way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like a good steak?
I do. I don't know if you're like, which steak do you like? I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know.
No, you're good. Probably like a ribeye, I would say, or no.
Here I'm like, I will say yes. I have no idea.
Okay.
They cook and I eat.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Did you try the tomahawk?
No, I didn't. They gave it to the guy for his birthday.
No, yeah.
And then they sat there the whole time talking about how he's going to cook it. They're like, how do you cook this thing? It's so big. Well, you could do this and this and this. So yeah, it was awesome.
That's cool.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you hopping on this platform.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much.